Hey everybody, it's the Herb Guy with the Elder Herb Shop, and welcome back to Where Science Meets Nature, a channel where we discuss the medicinal value of plants and other natural substances found in nature all around us, with a little bit of science thrown in because we can. Today, we're going to jump across the street and talk about a pretty nifty herb. This herb is a great herb for beginners. If you're just learning how to harvest or use herbs, it's this one right here. It's called Goldenrod. As you can see, it grows pretty much everywhere. If you've ever driven in some rural roads, you've probably seen it in the ditches. This is the time of the year that this plant comes out. Now, before I talk about anything else, this plant is not the plant that causes your hay fever. It's been accused of being that plant for many, many years. And the real science behind it is goldenrod. The flowers itself has a heavy nectar, and very little of it actually gets out in the wind. It's pollinated by butterflies and hummingbirds and bees and everything else, but not the wind. Now, the real culprit this time of year, when it comes to those type of conditions, is ragweed. Now, they pollinate roughly the same time, and if you've ever seen ragweed out in the wild, it gets quite tall. I mean, some of the bigger plants will get up to like 16 feet, which is a pretty tall plant. All right, so we're back here, the handy dandy table. I put it up a little bit higher so we have a little bit better view on everything. Now, the reason why people confuse these two is because they do, like I said, they pollinate at the same time. This is a common ragweed, and you can see the leaves, maybe. You see the leaves here. It kind of almost looks like a parsley, somewhat like a wild carrot, but this is definitely not the same. You can see all of that will turn into that white pollen, and when the wind blows, that stuff is everywhere. But this is the common ragweed. Bad stuff, get rid of it. It took me a long time to find that because we really try to keep that particular plant down around here. This is your giant ragweed, and this is a kind of a smaller version of it. It's only roughly 6 feet tall. You're like, man, that's small. Yeah, that's small. The leaves kind of resemble a dinosaur footprint a little bit. This is somewhat what a sassafras leaf looks like, only they're more rounded. But yeah, this is your giant ragweed. And all of these little fuzzy things here will turn into their yellow flowers, and you'll see giant big, look like giant big balls of cotton, and that's their pollen, and the stuff gets everywhere. And these are the two plants that are most commonly confused with being the culprit for hay fever with goldenrod. Now, why would you want to use goldenrod? Well, first of all, if you're new to harvesting herbs, this plant is really ideal. Get on the other side of the camera. Because the flowers and the stems are really rugged and tough, and even when the flowers dry, they're still pretty tough. They're hard to get apart, right? And they may sound like a bad thing when it comes to harvesting herbs, but when it comes to harvesting herbs, that's very important, because some of the herbs that we'll harvest, when their flowers get dry, they get very brittle. So much as like you touch them and they'll turn into a dust or a really fine ground up powder, and it's kind of a pain in the butt because you're trying to get, you know, as much of the herb as possible, and you don't want it everywhere. Goldenrod is really good for that, and the parts that are used is the leaf and the flowers. Now, the thing about this is most herbalists will use this particular plant as one of their blends for like an allergy remedy. So quite the opposite of what it's normally accused for. this has a really powerful compound in it that dries up your sinuses. So it's really good if you have conditions like sinusitis, colds and flu. It helps to remove a lot of congestion, and it gets rid of it fairly well and effectively. It's also a pain reliever. You can use this as a tea to help relieve pain from rheumatoid arthritis, joint pain, just general body pains. It's an anti-inflammatory as well, so it'll help reduce swelling and keep everything kind of down in regards to that. Now, the Native Americans used to use it for things like upper respiratory infections and upper respiratory issues, because it is so good about drying the stuff out. It's a decongestant in that'll help you get it out of your body versus just sitting in there and that constant hacking. Externally, you can use it. You can make a tea or a poultice out of it, and it's really good for like eczema and psoriasis and cuts and scrapes and bruises and all that stuff. It's really, this is a pretty handy herb. Now, occasionally, and be advised, and I found a few of these, so I wanted to make sure that you saw it. This is called a gall, G-A-L-L, and it's left by what's called a gall fly. Not the wasp, but a fly. And this is actually an allergic reaction to the fly laying its eggs inside the stem. And as you can tell, the stem does not like that at all. So, if you plan on drying this plant, I would advise either cut this part out if you want and throw it away if you feel bad about squishing a bunch of eggs, or you can smash it really well and kill all the eggs in there. Otherwise, you could have an unpleasant surprise come fall, and or at least when they dry and those things start to pop out. Not what you want to have in your house for winter. I'm going to include a picture here right after this so you can see what the gall fly looks like, and I think I'll probably go get some other examples of that so people are more aware. Hang on just a minute. We're going to go back to the office, and we're going to do some science on this plant, and you guys can look it up, and it'll give you a little bit of a project, and we'll go from there. Hang on. So I got in such a rush to hurry back to the office that there's my assistant Emery, that I forgot to mention how you process the goldenrod. I said, oh yeah, this stuff's really easy to process, especially if you're a beginner. And then I didn't bother to tell you how to do so. So here we go. We're back at the table. Talked about the gall. Hang this up, shoestring method, or any method that you feel convenient or comfortable doing. Once it's all dried, this plant really, the leaves will come off really easy. So once it's all dried, pull it out so you can actually see. You just literally go back against the grain, and they come right off, just like that. That's pretty easy, huh? Can you say easy? So you can go see the chicks. Sorry about that. All right, so now you see how to do that. You can, after you're done, you can chop them up with scissors. You can throw them in your blender to grind them a little bit, whatever you need, and you can make a tea out of them. It makes a really good tea. A little bit bitter though. So same with the flowers. Just like that. Flowers kind of do the same thing. You can kind of go backwards with them. The gall stopped it. But yeah, this is a really easy plant to process, a really easy plant to use, really good for you. And if you end up with some nasal congestion or something like that, this is the tea for you. All right, back to the office. All right, so we're back in the office, and what I went ahead and did today was I went ahead and pulled up an article on healthline.com. Healthline is a really good resource because the articles are written by medical professionals and people who are in the field actively either treating patients or doing studies, things that are really relevant to what we're looking to do. And in this Healthline article, they discussed the goldenrod benefits and how to use it and some of the precautions that there may be with goldenrod. All right, so they've broken this plant down, and they found that it has two compounds called quercetin and camphorol. And they found that these two compounds are very, very effective in being an antimicrobial, in that they kill some bacteria and fungi, especially the fungi that causes yeast infections and other types of candida infections in the body. It seems to also have some anti-cancer and anti-inflammatory properties, and the studies have been done on that as well. It also protects your cells from cell damage caused by free radicals. Now, if you don't know what free radicals are, I can do a video later on free radicals and how they harm in your body. I've done some posts on that and some of our other social media. And what we've discovered is that free radical damage is really a cause for a lot of chronic illnesses like heart disease and cancers and stuff like that, because, you know, they do cause mutated cells. And I think that one of the most important takeaways from this particular plant is that it actually has more antioxidant activity than green tea and vitamin C, which is pretty impressive. And if you go ahead and read the summary there, the summary says, Goldenrod contains many valuable plant compounds, including saponins, which have antifungal effects, and flavonoids, which have antioxidant and anti-inflammatory functions. Now, this lady went and put together a really, really good article. I would recommend you to go ahead and click on it and give it a read. And then, you know, as you can see, there's at least a dozen medical studies for you to peruse and go through, which could give you quite a bit more information than what I'm doing in this brief 10 to 12 minute video. But I did go ahead and save the best for last, and there is some anti-obesity studies that have been done in regards to goldenrod and how it's been used. This was done as an alcohol extract, so I found that stays fairly consistent in regards to the best way to use herbal medicine, and it seems to be alcohol extracts seem to work the best. This is a really good study, so I would recommend you give it a read and share this with your friends, because, I mean, this is the kind of stuff that could save people's lives. And of course, as usual, I have about talked myself out for the day. If you like this video and its content, please give it a like and a share. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to our channel so we can get even more subscribers. We're at 45 right now, and I want to let everybody know how much I appreciate you taking the time to watch these videos and giving the likes and the shares. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. I would very much love to hear what everybody has to say. If you have any suggestions for any new videos, please do that as well, because sometimes I run out of ideas and I don't have them all. But I do really, really appreciate everybody watching. I hope everybody has a great day, and stay safe out there from the Elder Herb Shop and the Herb Guy. Goodbye.